All right, Coach, so coming off another win, 37-30 on the road against Wayne State to start conference play. I'd like to start with, again, with the way that Zach has stepped up in another week. 23 for 29, just shy of 300 yards, 2 scores, completed passes to 8 different Wildcats as well. What can you say about the way that he stepped up for your squad?
He had a great game. He was outstanding. Took 2 big hits on some critical completions that he threw. They hit him right after he threw it, and they got him good both times. And he stayed in there in the gauntlet, stayed in the saddle, didn't let it faze him. He's big too. That's one thing. When I was down at Ferris, we had Vanderlaan who did everything. That dude was 6'4" and some change, 6'5", 240 pounds, and so he was very durable. And we ran him constantly. I never saw him practice on a Tuesday. And with Zach, he's a big kid. He's strong too, and he's very, very gifted in the weight room, and he works at it. So he's durable too. So thank God, thank the Lord, because he was fantastic. I told him after the game, I said, I'm real proud of him, and we looked like we had a pretty good receiver group during the game, and that's the first time I can really feel like there was more than 1 or 2 of them that played really well for us. So that was a good thing to see.
And like you said, Coach, the receivers also had a good game. 8 different Cats caught passes, no turnovers, 443 yards of total offense. The offense as a unit felt like it was really clicking the entire game.
Yeah, they kept us in the game the first half because defensively, everything that we had prepared for, they didn't do. So you can only put so many Band-Aids on it without getting into a place where you can teach them and have a whiteboard and get some things done, and have a little bit of downtime. You try to fix everything on the run. But at halftime, it basically redid the whole game plan. Everything that was done was useless. We were checking us a man against unbalanced formations and empty formations because they had been such an inside run team, and they were good at it. And then the next thing you know, they're running perimeter run game instead of interior run game. When you're in man, you don't have any levers and force players, so we just scrap that right away and start over. And God, thank the Lord. I'll tell you what, that second half, what we put in, it worked real well. We really should have only given up a field goal in the second half. I'm still irritated a little bit with that touchdown at the end, but we'll got to get over it and be thankful we got the win.
Staying on the wide receivers, you've seen Kenny go off and have a great game. We've seen why it's good for 1 or 2 catches that are going to make opponents scratch their heads, I think, every single week. But then Searsaw goes out and has the game that he had on Saturday. So talk about how important it is that any one of those guys can go out and have that type of game.
Yeah, I've been waiting for 3 years for Brendan to have that game. I had to work hard to recruit him, man. He was a lot of work. I'm glad we got him. He was down to Clare a lot, guys. Okay, you just don't go see him once and, hey, yeah, I'll come. Yeah, I had to work with that guy. He took us right to signing day, basically. And I was down there every week during the contact period, hanging out in Clare. A few visits to Cops and Donuts in the Doherty, okay? So I'm thankful that we got him and put a lot of work in him. I knew I was going to recruit him when he was a sophomore in high school. I just wasn't here yet. I was at a different school, but I watched him when he was in 10th grade. I used to live in Mount Pleasant. Going to Clare's like running down to Harvey from here. So, I knew about him in 10th grade. His head coach is a good buddy of mine. He's also really good friends with Coach Anise at Ferris. So I knew I was going to recruit him. I ended up at Northern, and we were down there all the time. And I was waiting for 3 years for him to have that game. So hopefully we can just keep going and build on that and have some more games like that.
Staying at halftime, too, outside of the schematic changes that you talked about, were there any other big takeaways from halftime where you said it felt like a different team playing in that second half?
No, it was a matter of the offense just staying on line with what they were doing, and us getting better on defense as far as getting some stops. And we had a nice takeaway. Tavian had a nice break on that flat ball, and that was a heck of a play by him. We started getting some good hits in the second half. We started buckling some people, and it kind of turned it for us a little bit. The secondary started having some good things go down hitting wise, and when we got to this backup quarterback, that makes it a little bit easier when you can make somebody play left-handed if they're right-handed. And so we got into that part. So I was just real thankful and pleased to get out of there with a win.
Moving on to this week now, you got a rematch with Davenport.
Yep.
They're coming up to the Dome this time, and they just hung 52 on Michigan Tech. Came back from 17 down at the end of the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
This team's red hot right now. What
Yeah,
are
they
your thoughts
are.
on that rematch?
Well, I told you about 3 weeks ago they'd be in the top 20, didn't I? Remember that conversation? You didn't think I was kidding, did you? They're really good. They got a bunch of graduate transfers. They're settled at quarterback. The Whitaker kid, he's a transfer out of Northwestern. He's a scholarship player, guys. Okay, he's really good, and he's the guy running the program right now, and he's doing a lot of damage. They're good in the offensive line. They got nice backs. They run about 3 of them at you. You know, Cy Barnett's over there playing ball for him. He had a great stint and career over at Ferris, and then when he graduated, he jumped over here. So he's a really good player. He was a dominant player when he was a freshman, dominant. And so they got a couple more wideouts that are good players for him. Smith makes a lot of plays for him. Livingston plays good for him. I've seen Garrett play pretty good for him. The tight ends do a nice job. They got Pope. He's another grad transfer. And so they've got people all lined up right now. And they're doing a real nice job on offense. They stay with their plan, and they don't. Some people, when things aren't moving the ball or productive, they just get away from it. They panic, and they start doing things that probably aren't their bread and butter. These guys stick with it, we're going to have to be better against the run game than we were. Right now, I like the way our secondary is playing. Obviously, I like the way the offense is playing. We just got to nail some things down in the box to help us out. It'll be a blast. This one will be a blast. They've scored a lot of points. They scored 51 against Northwood, 52 against Tech. Is that what you said? So they've scored over 100 points in 2 weeks. So they're the real deal. So we will be too.